I want to begin with a deeply personal experience that transformed how I understand compassion. For some time, I've worked with elderly individuals who have dementia and Alzheimer's. These are people who live in fragmented realities, often unable to remember their loved ones or even their own identities. When I first started, I saw the work as a task, bathing, feeding, and dressing them. But as time went on, I realized that this was not just a job, it was a profound spiritual practice. To care for someone who has forgotten themselves, I had to see beyond their confusion and vulnerability. I had to put myself in their shoes, imagining what it must feel like to lose control over your body and mind, to rely entirely on someone else. It was in these moments, when I saw their fears, their needs, and even their fleeting joys, that I began to feel a connection with something greater. Their fragility revealed the divine spark within them, and through compassion, I discovered a pathway to the divine within myself. Today I want to explore how this connection to compassion is reflected in the ancient teachings of the Vedas, Puranas, and Buddhist texts. Compassion in the Vedas, seeing the divine in all beings. The Vedas teach us that compassion, or daya, is not just an emotion, it is a spiritual duty that aligns us with the cosmic order, Hita. One of the most profound verses comes from the Rig Veda. May your thoughts be one. May your hearts be one. May your actions be one for the welfare of all. When I bathe or dress an elderly person with dementia, I often think about this verse. Their vulnerability reminds me of how interconnected we are. The Vedas teach that all beings carry a spark of the divine, and through acts of care, we become instruments of divine harmony. The Yajurveda says, "May we look upon all beings with the eye of a friend." For me, this means seeing beyond the physical or mental challenges of those I care for and recognizing their humanity and divinity. Whether it's a trembling hand or a vacant gaze, I remind myself that this is someone's parent, sibling, or child, someone who deserves dignity and love. Compassion in the Puranas, lessons of divine love and sacrifice. The Puranas bring compassion to life through stories of gods and mortals. These stories have taught me how to approach caregiving not as a burden, but as a sacred act. One story that resonates deeply with me is the churning of the ocean, where poison emerges alongside nectar. Lord Shiva drinks the poison to save all beings, holding it in his throat. When I'm faced with the emotional toll of caring for someone who no longer recognizes me or lashes out in confusion, I think of Shiva's sacrifice. Compassion often requires absorbing pain, whether it's their fear, frustration, or helplessness, without letting it consume me. In these moments, I find strength in the idea that my role, like Shiva's, is to protect and nurture, even in the face of difficulty. In the Ramayana, Jatayu, an old eagle, sacrifices his life trying to rescue Sita. When Lord Rama finds him dying, he mourns him and performs his last rites with reverence. There have been times when I've held the hand of a dying patient, feeling helpless yet present. Like Rama's compassion for Jatayu, I've learned that even in moments of loss, our care and presence can be an expression of divine love. King Shiva offers his own flesh to save a dove from a hawk. This story reminds me of the small sacrifices I make every day, giving time, patience, and energy to care for others. These acts, though ordinary, carry immense spiritual significance. In Buddhism, compassion is seen as the pathway to enlightenment. The Buddha's teachings have helped me approach caregiving with mindfulness and intention. The parable of the mustard seed. A grieving mother asks the Buddha to bring her dead child back to life. He tells her to find a mustard seed from a household untouched by death. As she searches, she realizes that suffering is universal. Working with the elderly, I've seen this universal truth firsthand. Each wrinkle, each lost memory, carries a story of love, loss, and resilience. This awareness has deepened my empathy, helping me see beyond my own frustrations. The hungry tigress, Jataka Tales. In this story, A bodhisattva offers his body to a starving tigress and her cubs. While I'm not asked to make such extreme sacrifices, this story inspires me to give selflessly. Whether it's staying late to comfort someone or finding creative ways to bring joy to their day, these acts of giving bring me closer to the bodhisattva ideal, the Buddha and Angulimala. Angulimala, a feared bandit, is transformed by the Buddha's compassion. This story reminds me that even in moments when patients are agitated or unkind, my calm and understanding response can create a ripple of peace. Caring for the elderly has taught me that compassion is not always easy. There are days when exhaustion or frustration creeps in, but these moments have also become opportunities for growth. When I bathe someone, I remind myself that this act is not just physical, it is spiritual. I see their body as a temple, and in caring for them, I feel I am serving the divine within them. When I feed them, I think of nurturing their soul as much as their body. One moment that stands out is when I dressed a woman who had forgotten her own name. She looked at me with fear, and I gently reassured her, "You're safe." For a fleeting moment, she smiled. In that smile, I felt a connection to something greater, a reminder that compassion allows us to touch the divine, even in the most fragile human experiences. Here are some practices I found helpful in cultivating compassion, inspired by ancient wisdom and my own experiences. Take a moment to center yourself before caring for others. Reflect on their humanity and their struggles. Whether it's holding a hand, offering a smile, or simply listening, these gestures can create profound connections. Look past confusion or agitation to the person within. Remember, their essence is untouched by their condition. Reflect on the teachings of the Vedas, Puranas, and Buddhist texts. Stories like Shiva's sacrifice or the Bodhisattva's compassion can inspire us to give more of ourselves. Compassion transforms both the giver and the receiver. When I care for someone, I feel a divine connection, not because I am helping them, but because their vulnerability allows me to see the divine in them. This work has taught me that compassion is the purest form of worship. As the Buddha said, "Hatred does not cease by hatred, but only by love. This is the eternal rule." Through compassion, we dissolve our ego, transcend our limitations, and align with the divine. Let us all strive to cultivate this sacred quality in our own lives. The Bhagavad Gita is a treasure trove of wisdom on seeing the divine in everything and cultivating compassion as a spiritual practice. Seeing the divine everywhere. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse 29, "A true yogi sees me and all beings and sees all beings in me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me, the same Supreme Lord, everywhere." This verse resonates with my experience working with the elderly. When I feed someone who cannot feed themselves or comfort someone in distress, I remind myself that they are not just individuals. They are reflections of the divine. By serving them, I am serving the divine presence within them. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 5, verse 18, "The wise see the same divine essence in a brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and even in a dog-eater." This verse teaches that no one is less deserving of compassion. Whether someone is wealthy or destitute, capable or dependent, their essence is the same. This truth guides my work. Even when a patient is confused or agitated, I remind myself that their struggles do not diminish their worth or their divine spark. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 12, verse 13 and 14, "One who is free from malice toward all beings, who is friendly and compassionate, free from possessiveness and ego, and steady in both joy and sorrow, is dear to me." This verse inspires me to approach caregiving not with pity, but with genuine friendliness and humility. Compassion is not about feeling superior to those we help. It is about recognizing that we are all interconnected. When we act with compassion, we align ourselves with the divine will. I hope this helps all on their spiritual journey. Thank you for taking the time to listen. I hope everyone's life is full of blessings.